I yield my time back.
Next, we'll go to the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. De La Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for holding this hearing today, and thank you, Director Chopra, for appearing before us today. I serve a largely rural community, Latino community in deep South Texas, south of San Antonio, and my constituents rely heavily on smaller banks, community banks, and credit unions. And this is really important for their livelihoods, for the economic development of our communities. It worries me increasingly as I hear from these community banks that your agency remains insulated and unchecked by Congress while creating rules that directly impacts constituents in my area. The rule that really concerns me is the 1071 rule. We've heard it over and over today, how it's going to affect community banks, how it's going to affect small business owners like myself, and ultimately, who's most important are the consumers, the entrepreneurs. And so I hope that today you're hearing the message that the 1071 rule is just simply not working. It's not going to work for community banks. It's not going to work for communities that want to thrive, and it's not going to work for small business owners. This seems to be an expensive endeavor for community banks to implement, not only with training for staff, but implementation of new software. We're talking, for the people listening right now on C-SPAN, we're talking about going from 15 data points to 81 data points. That is an incredible increase. And what it's really doing is profiling customers who've never been profiled before. Not only is it going to take a significant amount of time to profile these customers, asking questions such as sexual orientation, which, remember, banking has been built on being able to look at a project, look at credit scores, look at debt ratios, and to be able to make an analysis away and apart from profiling customers. Now, because of the 1071 rule, they're actually going to have to start implementing and profiling customers. I'm worried about the costs that it's going to take to comply with the 1071 rule. So I want to know, do you recognize that this rule may result in less availability of credit to small businesses that it targets, particularly if it leads to smaller banks having to pull back from lending due to the costs associated to the 1071 rule?
Well, let me just share with you that we saw during PPP that actually the small community institutions you mentioned really punched above their weight class when it comes to serving small businesses. Many of them, they have those relationships. So we were under a court order to complete the final rule by March of this year. The CFPB was sued a few years ago for not doing the rule. We complied with the court order. We increased the loan threshold, which exempted a large number, I don't have the exact number of small banks. But of course, I share with you that we want a robust and really fair small business lending market. This is really the fabric.
I'm going to reclaim my time quickly here. When was the last time you actually spoke to a community bank about this rule?
So I've conducted sessions with, I think, every single banker association represented in this committee and more. I think I've met now with thousands of community bankers, and you're right. Many of them, in fact, do mention this and other issues. I've done branch visits.
Well, and I'm going to reclaim my time again. I think it's more than just a couple of them or some of them. Every single community bank Every single community bank that I hear from says this is a problem and this is going to create a lot of problems for not only the banks, but the consumers, small businesses, and for the economic well-being and prosperity of our communities. I yield back.